Welcome to the NAMB Podcast, where we bring you the voices that drive the mortgage industry. Join dynamic hosts Ginger Bell and Matt Shields as they dive into bold conversations with top experts, industry leaders, and change makers from across the country. From insider insights to game-changing trends, this is your front row seat to what's happening right now in the world of home finance.
Well, hi there. Welcome to another episode of the NAMB Podcast. My name is Ginger Bell, and I have with me my co-host, Matt Shields. Matt, how are you today?
Ginger, I'm doing great. I'm very excited for our podcast today and our guest.
Absolutely. So I have the honor of introducing a friend for a long time, industry leader, and that is Jeff Leinan, who is the co-president for Plaza Home Mortgage. So Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's an amazing day, and I appreciate you having me on today.
Absolutely. So, as we get started, this podcast is being published in January, and January is one of those months that we always allocate to getting business plans in place, goals and things like that. And I know there's a statistic that goes out every single year as far as the percentage of people who create New Year's resolutions, and within, I think it's actually the first 8 days, those resolutions are gone. But we're not talking about resolutions. We're talking about something longer term. And, Jeff, Plaza obviously serves our broker community, our non-deal community, so our independent business owners. Mm-hmm. And so business planning, how important is that for them in terms of their overall business in general?
I think it's super important. Most independent mortgage companies, mortgage originators, small companies, I think fail to really do enough adequate planning. Kind of become reactive, and I get it, right? There's things coming at you all day. There's always problems in the mortgage space. It seems like always something that you got to kind of jump in. But, the next 2 weeks between now and the first of next year, I think is a really good time to sit down and do a great self-assessment. What have I done really well this year? What did I maybe think I could do better? What do I really think growth opportunities are? I mean, the mortgage space is no different than a lot of other industries. It's changing rapidly. Technology is having a lot of input and changing where we need to spend our energy, and frankly, how much we need to really how many loans we need to do. The industry is changing. So I just don't think we can do enough planning. And then throughout the year, you just kind of, keep checking in with your plan, and it's going to change. Probably it's going to amend it. You're going to change it, as times go in, but you can stay with it and say, okay, here's sort of my strategy. What objectives do I need to hit? And then finally, what are my tactics? That's kind of how I really do it. Like, okay, here's our strategy. Here's the objectives I need to hit that strategy. And here's my tactical things that I need to make sure I do. And I need to call this many people every day this week, et cetera. And if you kind of follow that plan, I think you'll have what you need to be successful.
Absolutely. And I love this time of year for that business planning. And one thing for me that really stands out is how I thought my business was the year before, from referral sources, where am I spending my energy? And then when I go back and look at who sent me business or what I was working on the most, it's never really what I thought it was, which is crazy. So it's like, okay, this is what I need to tweak for next year. That's always a big eye opener for me, is like thinking something, but it was actually something else.
Right. And how do I spend my time?
Yeah.
Right. We at Plaza, we talk a lot about, we have so many products. We try to say, hey, we can cover a lot of bases for you with one good account executive, one technology solution, everything else. You don't necessarily need to venture off for this product that you might do a loan or two a year on. We can cover that and so much more. So, how much time did you spend, onboarding a new lender? How much time did you spend, particular things that maybe were not that efficient? And, this is kind of a hard topic, but it's okay to fire clients sometimes too. If you have a referral partner, it's hard to say that out loud really, but if you have referral partners where the juice just isn't worth the squeeze, maybe you need to think, maybe I need to cut back here and go forward here. It's just really, if you're really honest with how you spend your time and am I getting enough, return for what I'm investing in, I think it's a really good exercise.
Yeah, and I love that as far as being okay with, maybe not even firing, but just cutting back with the time you're spending with someone. It's like looking at those, okay, who are my A, B, C, and D clients? and who do you want to move up to being? Who's maybe a C that you want to move up to being a B? And so if you have someone who's not sending you a lot of business but taking a lot of your time, bump them down, put them into the D category and say, who do I have in the C category that I want to move up? What can I do to enhance that relationship, to build that relationship even more? And so I think you hit it like right on the point of time management. And so many people don't take that idea as far as where am I spending my time? And where can I be spending my time? And you don't think of that as planning, because oftentimes, most in the industry become what we call firefighters, right? It's like, okay, where's the fire? What am I going to put out today? But having that sense of responsibility to where, I'm spending the first 15 minutes of my day planning and executing. And, the next part of it, you can take care of those problems. Brian Tracy has a quote, it's actually an entire book that I absolutely love. It's like, eat a frog for breakfast.
Yep.
And so it's like, get the worst thing out of the day that you need to get done. Don't put it off to the end of the day, get it done, do that follow-up, whatever that is, and then move on, because that's going to free you up to have that energy to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, firing might be a little harsh, but I think boundary setting or figuring out where I'm going to focus and where I'm going to spend more of my energy and effort to get a better return. The mortgage industry is obviously, artificial intelligence is going to change the way we process loans. Technology is changing it. Operationally, we're going to become a little more cohesive over the coming years. But at the end of the day, we still need to be knowledgeable, and things still pop up every single day that we've never come across before that we need help and assistance. So having trusted, valued partners that can help you solve problems is still really, really important. This is not it's not an automated industry. And even when it becomes more automated, there's still going to be a lot of, sort of subsegment of loans that are going to need a lot of extra assistance and help.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I love what you guys were saying about the time management, and like the 80-20 rule is something I try to live off of, where 80% of your results come from 20% of what's coming in, and being able to focus on, okay, this has been a big time suck for me. This isn't really worth my time. And really just drilling down that 80-20 kind of over and over and over again to get the most optimal, use of your time in the best year.
Yeah, I have a kind of a rule I live by where every day when I go to work, I have 3 things I need to get done. And so sometimes that means that fire or something might have to wait a little bit. It's important to get it done, but you got to try to get these 3 things done. Do I get 3 things done every day? No. Maybe I get 1, maybe I get 2. And sometimes they do roll over. But if you keep focused on the things that are actually going to move the needle and not let the fires consume you, then you actually, when you look back, like, oh, I actually progressed. I didn't have a lot of busy work and not really accomplish anything. I actually was able to grow. And that's really important, especially in the origination side, where we've got to, we have to branch out and have more connections and more referral sources. We can never speak to enough people. And that's the things that unfortunately sometimes come at the end when you're done firefighting. Right. Now go try to grow my business. Well, if that's the way you operate, you may never get there.
Yeah. And part of that too, I think, goes into, going to events where if you need to learn those skills. And Matt, you are the committee chair for our NAMB Young Professionals. And so you're seeing a lot of newer professionals coming into the industry. I know they have a lot of questions as far as, where to get started. How do you manage your day? How do you get started on business planning? And business planning, it's not just sales. It's not just how many phone calls, how many apps I'm going to take, how many deals I'm going to close. It also goes into, what are you doing? What is your strategy for branding? What are you doing for your marketing? What are the products that you're going to focus on? Matt, we talked about, the riches and niches. Yep. And, I know Plaza has an array of products available, but rather than, doing the rapid fire approach and going after all of them, sometimes in your branding, it's good to say, I'm going to learn one product. I'm going to learn one product. And sometimes that means back end into what is a good product mix for you in your area. And so, Jeff, you talked about AI. So, there's a lot you can do on research in AI, even in ChatGPT, to go into your market and ask it, what were the loans that were closed? Just pulling that data, that information, whatever that is, to be able to have an insight into what you should be focusing on. So rather than just being blind about what you're doing, have a strategy in place. And I think that's the key, for 2026, if there's anything that you want to implement, it's having a strategy and executing on that strategy, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that you hit the nail on the head with the product. And I think those product segments create other referral sources that you haven't even thought about. Financial advisors on the reverse mortgage products, even pool contractors for renovation loans. Like there's all sorts of other referral sources that you're probably not, you're probably just kind of zeroed in on real estate people, real estate brokers, et cetera. There's a lot of other opportunities. And you can quickly get up to speed on these products, with the 45-minute webinar that we have on our site. And then once you have that, you say, okay, I'm gonna reach out to 15 financial planners every month and put them in my my follow-up database. And if you do that and you have a value proposition, you're going to get business ultimately.
Yeah, and looking for those other resources, Matt. We were talking the other day about CPAs. Yep. And, we always think about real estate agents, and I like to use it from the strategy of, okay, it's a two-way street, right? So if you're going to, call somebody and ask for some business in return, you need to say, hey, when I get somebody, I'm going to send someone your way. What easier way to do that with a CPA and a financial planner? And when you're taking an application, put into your conversation, by the way, do you have a CPA? By the way, do you have a financial planner? I mean, I had a call today with someone and they said, hey, I don't have a CPA. Do you have a good CPA? Totally off the, mark of what we would normally do. But, those are kind of things, think outside the box.
Absolutely. It's like you're fishing with a net instead of a pole. When you're thinking of referrals for everyone else, you're going to catch way more fish with that wide net. And I feel like the CPA is such a great angle for there's so many self-employed people out there.
Yeah.
And in our industry, it's not the easiest on self-employed loans. So just being able to do a bank statement loan or being versed in the bank statement loan, there's so many avenues.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many non-QM products that solve a lot of self-employed issues that self-employed people have that maybe were not as prevalent, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So there's lots of loan solutions for people. First time home buyers, another one, say, I'm going to have a seminar once a week. I always tell the over 55 communities, they all have a clubhouse, go to the clubhouse, do a reverse seminar once a quarter. If you get one loan a quarter from that, it's well worth your time and effort. So there's lots of opportunities.
I love that, to where, you're going out and doing that. And, going to, if you're in a community, I know, Jeff, you're in Florida, obviously a big opportunity there with the demographics, especially for the reverse mortgage, which Plaza has an amazing product with reverse mortgage. Probably one of the first that had reverse mortgage before it was really, prevalent back in the day, right?
Yeah. No, it's a great product. And the thing about the reverse is it solves problems for people. It allows people to age in place. And, a lot of times when they come to the reverse, they don't have a lot of other great options. So selling and renting is not a great option. And, when financial advisors get to the point of referring, like this is the best option for the people at this point of the time of their life. And what's happening now is what we're seeing is the average age of a reverse borrower is going up significantly, because people are living a lot longer than what we probably anticipated when they retired. So they're taking reverses out at 85, 88, even 90 years old, 92 years old. So we're seeing our average age of our borrower continue to rise.
Interesting. It makes sense. The cost of living, the cost of everything, they're on fixed income, they're living longer. That's what a solution for somebody who really needs it. That's a great niche and a great idea.
Well, and how much equity do people have in their houses? I think we've had the most equity that we've ever seen in terms of that. And to think about not just the individuals who are possibly taking it, but their children as well, because, it's that providing that, sometimes people are like, hey, I don't know what, mom and dad want to stay in their home, but they've got this coming up. They need some repairs, or they need to make it ADA, acceptable. So providing some of that education, not just for the consumer that's going to be doing it, but those that are in the fringe area around that can have an influence over the consumers as well. I think that's important to be able to look at that and educating. And Plaza does an amazing amount as far as education. So share with me some of the things that Plaza provides.
Yeah, I mean, we have we don't have enough time, but we have a website full of training with just about anything you want to touch on.
Cool.
So I would encourage someone, if they work with us, to reach out, or if they don't, reach out and we'll get you an account executive. They can go through, but a lot of, everything from sort of basic, ideas about how can I have an intelligent conversation with someone about reverse when I don't know anything about reverse, all the way to, how to put the deal together and structure it and walk them all the way through the process. And we handhold quite a bit through that because it is a unique and different loan product in particular. So I think it offers, people a lot of opportunity. And that's just obviously one avenue, but there's lots of products, lots of areas where people can get into different specialization. And the other thing is you're really helping people solve real life problems. I mean, I got into the mortgage business originally because, like everybody, I'm greedy and I saw the financial opportunity. But once I'd been, and I'm honest to say that, but once I'd been in the business a little while, now I'm like, I love it because we get to help people. And, what I love about what I do is we not only are helping borrowers solve real life problems, but we're also helping independent originators, many times really small business people, also excel and work in their business. And I love that. So these products are solving challenges for self-employed people who are having trouble getting a loan, reverse people, renovation, they want to fix up the property or it's not able to be financed as is. Like, these are all problems that people come across.
And it's a great way of looking at it because the more people you help, the more you're going to bless yourself in the long run by being compensated for all the help you're giving. So just if you have that giving mindset, trying to give as much as you can, you're going to be rewarded. That's an awesome way to look at it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. So, Jeff, Plaza has been a huge supporter of NAMB throughout the years. And I was having a conversation with someone the other day because we have this next generation, which Matt's doing an amazing job leading up our young professionals. But the importance of being involved in associations in our trade industry. And the question from them was, why would someone want to join NAMB? And, that's one of the things in understanding that. And so, just kind of putting you on the spot, why does Plaza support NAMB so much?
I think NAMB really focuses on a couple things. One, obviously education, right? Helping people get up to speed, helping people understand not only just, how do I put a loan file in, but what's happening in my industry? What are the compliance issues? What's happening? And then the other thing obviously is representing us, Washington, and making sure that we have a voice and making sure that that people understand, because it's what mortgage originators do is unique and the challenges they face are unique. And obviously, someone who's in a political position not going to understand that unless someone is there to represent and say, hey, this is what's happening in the streets. This is the problem, because there's always a lot of unintended consequences from things that people don't necessarily address or think about. So someone needs to be there to let them know. So I think that's the things that are really important. And honestly, from any advice that I had from young people getting in the industry is the one difference I see is a lot of times young people want to try to make it a little more cookie cutter, this process, this loan origination, than what it really is, because it comes across fairly simple. And, at the top of the, at kind of the top level, maybe it looks a little simple, but it's not. And there's a lot of potential pitfalls and there's a lot of things. So partnering with someone who has experience, knowledge, can ask the questions before they're a problem to prevent the problem. That's the value. Like, not just, hey, can I do this particular loan scenario, but someone who's going to say, yes, and by the way, have you looked at this, and this? Because I want to make sure that you don't run into a challenge in the 11th hour. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of times the value from that doesn't necessarily occur until you're in a bad situation. you got to make a phone call you didn't want to make, or you got to decline, whatever it is. So obviously try to help prevent there. So NAMB obviously does that, partnering with people in the industry who can help you avoid things. This industry is just not as simple as we want it to sometimes be. There are things that occur and continue to occur and will always occur.
I love it. So if someone wants to get started with Plaza, where do you suggest they get started?
Just go to our website, and there's a link. I'm sure my information will be up there. They can always email me. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Shoot me a message. We will definitely get you connected. So we have a lot of great products. Love to support NAMB. I appreciate you guys having me on today, and love to connect with people.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being a guest. We loved having you on, and want to dive more into that planning. So I think that's going to be a conversation maybe for another session coming up that we'll do with young professionals, Matt, that you have going on, right?
That would be awesome. I'd love to have that. And just Jeff, any support for the young professionals, we appreciate you. We open you with welcome arms, and just thank you for being here today, and thank you for doing everything that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. I think that what you're doing with young professionals is so important. I mean, we just real quick anyway, but we have this gap. I always talk about this all the time. In 2007 and 8, when the financial crisis came, we sort of lost a lot of people that had less than 10 or 12 years experience. So fast forward to now, we have this, what I call bookends, right? We have people that are, been in the industry a long time. And then we have this big void. Mm-hmm. And then we have a lot of younger people in the industry, which that's why I think the industry is such a great opportunity. Because as the other people, sort of retire and exit the industry, there's going to be a pretty good sized void there until the younger people can continue to fill, because we're missing people, not everybody, but we're missing a good chunk of people that were in the industry at that time, and they left to go do other things. And not all of them, some of them came back, but not all of them. So I love what you're doing. I think our industry desperately needs it.
Yeah, and it's not just for originators, because I know for Plaza, you have account executives who same kind of thing. I mean, it's like there's several roles within our industry, and originator is one, but there's also, being an account executive, being an underwriter. I mean, being a processor, being, all of these things. And so that's the thing when we're looking for young professionals, especially, it's not just originators. Matt, you had the first meetup, the live meetup at NAMB National. And so I know, Jeff, there were several people there from Plaza who are account executives there. And I know we had JD Kutri, who actually was instrumental in starting the NAMB Young Professional back in 2012. And so we're glad to see that Matt Shields has picked it up, and we're taking it on to the next level. So thank you both for that. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And it's, the support of NAMB. NAMB's pulling all the resources together. They're pulling out all the stops. They want to help. And it's such a refreshing thing being a part of such a great organization.
Yep. Very cool. Love it. Well, thank you both so much. This is a great way for us to get started in January of 2026. And so stay tuned for more. Make sure and follow us at nambpodcast.com. We publish episodes every single week, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the NAMB Podcast, brought to you by the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. For more episodes, resources, and guest interviews, visit nambpodcast.com. Don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe.